On a sunny morning, Seo Ah was seen reporting on her work, while Seo Joo-Heon was still checking her report on the elixir plant field. Seo Joo-Heon intended to expand the field and produce a lot of fruit to be used as medicine. Seo Joo-Heon would not get relic syndrome with all the berries she had and asked Seo Ah to eat the medicine. Seo Joo-Heon also thanked Seo Ah for doing a good job, but Seo Ah had something to talk about. Seo Ah asked if Seo Joo-Heon didn't have any work for her, because Seo Ah intended to ask for her vacation, and Seo Joo-Heon agreed. It made Seo Ah a little sad and she left. After Seo Ah left, Seo Joo-Heon received a call from George, but it seemed like Seo Joo-Heon didn't want to do anything troublesome and left it to George. But George didn't believe it, and this time George called Seo Joo-Heon to talk about the Tomb of Plague, which some time ago Seo Joo-Heon managed to conquer. George told us that the tomb that Seo Joo-Heon had previously conquered belonged to someone and had been marked for conquest. Pandora had a system where they would give a tomb that had been bought by a team to be conquered so that they could make the team that bought it conquer the tomb more easily and freely in conquering it. And the tomb that Seo Joo-Heon had previously conquered belonged to someone named Guinness Hauger. George also said that the man protested to Pandora in his office because the promised tomb had been conquered by someone and he asked for accountability. Seo Joo-Heon regretted this because he thought Pandora's system was very unreasonable. Excavation declaration is a system where a team buys a tomb from Pandora and gives Pandora will later give permission to the team that bought it to conquer the tomb so that other teams cannot seize it. Pandora made this system to prevent conflicts between teams. Pandora makes the tombs that are in its territory belong to it, and although a team must pay to conquer the tomb by asking permission from Pandora, later they will ask for a ration where Pandora will take a portion of the relic taken from the tomb. Although this rule sounds absurd, but Pandora has a lot of power to silence people who protest about their system. Seo Joo-Heon doesn't want Pandora to have a lot of advantages by doing this system, but Seo Joo-Heon also doesn't understand how he knows if the tomb has been marked. Because if they really have marked the tomb, then they should guard or conquer the tomb quickly and not leave it alone. Although Seo Joo-Heon was still going to rob it, George also asked Seo Joo-Heon not to make things messy, because some time ago, Seo Joo-Heon auctioned off the relic of the tomb marked by Pandora. But Seo Joo-Heon did not care about that because he also did not break the rules. In Pandora's system, there was an exception where teams of less than 10 people did not need to do so, because there were some locals who were caught and accused of excavating the tomb. Even though the accusations were true, Pandora did not see people with only a few people in the team as a significant threat, because they also did not want to overreact to such a small matter, and the team that took advantage of the rule was the team formerly led by Seo Joo-Heon, namely Team 13. It happened because even though CEO Kwon was very cooperative with Pandora, but he also didn't want to just lose his precious relic in Pandora's hands, and unlike Team 12 who excavated with a large number of members, Team 13 only contained a few people who had great abilities. In case they were caught, but because they didn't have many members, so they couldn't be blamed. Team Seo Joo-Heon worked very hard and made CEO Kwon a very influential person, even though finally CEO Kwon betrayed them. Seo Joo-Heon also asked about the rule where a team that has less than 10 members, then they don't need to tag Pandora. George was not aware of such a rule, and with this, Seo Joo-Heon was not to blame and told him to inform Guinness. After the phone was turned off, Seo Joo-Heon smiled happily because he managed to use his connection in Pandora to conduct surveillance. Meanwhile, as night fell, Seo Ah was still sad in the bar. Seo seemed to be thinking about all the events that had happened from the chaos of the world due to the arrival of the relics and how a person's life could change by getting a lot of good relics in his hands. And it also happened to Seo where she had a debt that kept increasing and her health was getting worse. And it was then that Seo joined a small excavation team, and it was then that she first met Seo Joo-Heon. Although initially they did not have a good relationship, but over time, Seo began to like Seo Joo-Heon, and this unrequited feeling she had kept for a long time. And on one occasion, Seo managed to improve her relationship status with Seo Joo-Heon. But in their last tomb, which was very different from the usual, Seo Joo-Heon and Seo died there. But a miracle happened and Seo Joo-Heon was able to go back in time, and Seo Joo-Heon had also obtained many relics because of his knowledge from his previous life. But Seo didn't expect that now Seo Joo-Heon was dating Irene, and Seo didn't know what she should do now, even though Seo Joo-Heon said that she didn't know if she could restore Seo's memory. But Seo knew that Seo Joo-Heon should be with Irene. And even though Seo regained her memory, she didn't say much because they were busy searching and conquering the tomb. Seo was confused, she didn't know what to do. And suddenly she screamed because she thought of something stupid like this, even when she never broke off her relationship with Seo Joo-Heon. And now it's only been a few months since they got back together. Seo thinks of this as a new beginning for her. But while she was feeling sad, she received a new beer glass in front of her. The waiter who gave it to her said that today is the store's birthday and is giving all customers free beer. The waiter saw the sadness on Seo's face, and he hoped that Seo would get better after drinking this beer. Seo was a little hesitant, but he was grateful for the kindness of the waiter who tried to comfort him. As Seo drank the beer, he saw the waiter who suddenly spoke. And how surprised she was to see Jin Chae-won there disguised as the waiter. Seo was surprised to see that, but suddenly her body became weak and she fainted on the floor. Jin Chae-won smiled as he felt his plan was successful and looked at Seo angrily as he knew Seo had betrayed him. On the same night, on the beach, the body of Seo was carried by two men and dropped on the sand. Jin Chae-won came and he greeted Seo. Seo, who had just woken up, was still trying to digest the situation, and Jin Chae-won kicked Seo's body angrily. Then he strangled Seo's neck. Jin Chae-won intended to disguise himself as Seo, and slowly Jin Chae-won's face changed into Seo, and with this he was able to approach Seo Joo-Heon and do whatever he wanted. Seo, who saw Jin Chae-won start to change, he panicked. And after a while, Jin Chae-won had completely changed into Seo. Seo rebelled, and she was sure that Seo Joo-Heon would not be fooled by Jin Chae-won. But Jin Chae-won had other plans so that Seo Joo-Heon would not be able to find out if she was a fake as long as Seo did not disturb her. And now Jin Chae-won had a plan in her head with what she would do to Seo. Using his relic that had a commander level, he intended to create a tomb that would trap Seo inside. Shortly after that, the ground under Seo slowly cracked and created a hole that made Seo fall into it. Jin Chae-won looked at Seo, who fell happily, because she had prepared various traps, but there was no relic in the tomb. Seo still fell, and she was a little worried about Seo Joo-Heon. While returning to the place where Seo Joo-Heon was, Jin Chae-won, who had disguised herself as Seo, managed to get into Seo Joo-Heon's house, but she didn't see anyone there, even though there was nothing to worry about. But seeing the deserted house, Jin Chae-won felt that her disguise was useless. Jin Chae-won approached the door of Seo Joo-Heon's room, and he went inside, seeing Seo Joo-Heon, who was still silent in front of his desk. Seo Joo-Heon was a little surprised to see fake Seo there, because she thought that Seo had asked for her permission to take a vacation. But fake Seo said that she had changed her mind. Seo Joo-Heon asked her to reconsider her vacation time because they would be busy soon. Fake Seo thanked Seo Joo-Heon for being kind to her. Jin Chae-won smiled as she saw that Seo Joo-Heon didn't realize what was really going on because Jin Chae-won had used her transformation relic and illusion just to impersonate Seo. The fake Seo wrapped her arms around Seo Joo-Heon and she said there was something she had to talk to her about. Seo Joo-Heon, who saw her, was confused, but Seo Joo-Heon asked the fake Seo to explain. Before the fake Seo could explain, Seo Joo-Heon had mocked her because now Seo looked older, and Seo Joo-Heon brought her face closer to the fake Seo and saw the details of her face that looked older, making Seo Joo-Heon wonder. And Seo Joo-Heon assumed that the cause was Seo who had worked for Jin Chae-won for too long, and it succeeded in making Jin Chae-won, who was in disguise, upset. Seo Joo-Heon also regretted why she didn't save earlier, but the fake Seo looked upset because she got teased by Seo Joo-Heon and said that she didn't need to do that. But Seo Joo-Heon, who heard that, was confused because Seo always said that working there was the worst. Seeing the topic given by Seo Joo-Heon, Jin Chae-won felt that she had to follow the flow of the conversation and she promised that she would kill Seo later. Seo Joo-Heon, who saw that Seo was falsely starting to get hooked on the topic, she smiled wryly at Seo's expression. Seo Joo-Heon quickly strangled the neck of the fake Seo, and she already realized that the one in front of her now was Jin Chae-won, and Seo Joo-Heon mocked Jin Chae-won, who had previously said herself. Jin Chae-won brushed Seo Joo-Heon's hands off her neck, and she didn't understand why Seo Joo-Heon could realize it in the first place. Jin Chae-won couldn't allow it if her illusion didn't work. But Seo Joo-Heon smiled and said that it was possible. Sometime before Seo Joo-Heon, who was still standing in front of his map, got a window notification that Seo Joo-Heon had felt the power of the relic illusion. After the crow told him, Seo Joo-Heon took care of himself and the fake Seo came to him at that time. Seo Joo-Heon saw Jin Chae-won, who entered his room with the illusion relic, and if it wasn't for the crow, Seo Joo-Heon wouldn't have known that he was under Jin Chae-won's illusion, and that's why Jin Chae-won was so confident. But Seo Joo-Heon did not expect that they would meet each other now. After Jin Chae-won revealed his disguise, Seo Joo-Heon was ready with his sword, and with a taunt, Seo Joo-Heon managed to provoke Jin Chae-won's anger. After that, Jin Chae-won released so much red aura from his body that Seo Joo-Heon had a hard time containing it, and slowly Jin Chae-won released his aura more intensely and filled Seo Joo-Heon's house. The floor turned into a tomb, and Seo Joo-Heon realized that his house would be turned into a tomb by Jin Chae-won. Jin Chae-won smiled because he was confident with his relic that was at a different level than the usual relic where he could make a tomb wherever he wanted. Seo Joo-Heon did not expect that there was a relic that had this kind of power, even he had never met a relic like this in his previous life. The increasingly strong aura slowly hurt the skin of Seo Joo-Heon, and because of the aura, he could humans become a lifeless item. Not only that, the relics around him also protested in pain because they were exposed to the power of the relic with the rank of commander. Seo Joo-Heon was worried because from the beginning he brought Jin Chae-won into the relic room in case of a battle, but Seo Joo-Heon did not expect that the relic could not withstand the aura of Jin Chae-won. And with his plan failed, Seo Joo-Heon suddenly ran away, making Jin Chae-won cringe to see Seo Joo-Heon run away. Jin Chae-won was angry because he saw Seo Joo-Heon, who tried to run away, and Seo Joo-Heon casually replied that he would try to escape. Seo Joo-Heon also used Van Gogh's relic to store all his relics that screamed in pain because of Jin Chai-won's power. Seo Joo-Heon also intended to escape through the door, but before he could escape, the door was closed by the tomb wall and trapped him. Jin Chai-won smiled triumphantly as he saw Seo Joo-Heon, who could not escape. But Seo Joo-Heon thought of another way by using his power to destroy this tomb, and with that Seo Joo-Heon without hesitation tested his estimate and took out a relic of Van Gogh and threw it unceremoniously. Instantly the relic exploded, causing a huge explosion. Jin Chai-won was shocked to see the explosion. And the relic inside, Jin Chai-won said that it was Seo Joo-Heon's strange power that caused him trouble before, where Seo Joo-Heon exploded his relic to create a new path in the tomb. Seo Joo-Heon's steps stopped when he saw the tomb began to repair itself. Jin Chai-won approached Seo Joo-Heon with a smile because the tomb could not be blown up. Seo Joo-Heon realized that the rank of this tomb was too high that he could not just blow it up, and Jin Chai-won attacked Seo Joo-Heon with his power. And because Seo Joo-Heon's immunity rank was not so high, she could not withstand the aura released by Jin Chai-won, and started to get poisonous attacks from him. Immediately Seo Joo-Heon's body became very difficult to move because of the pain she received. Seo Joo-Heon thought of another way to survive her current situation, and it seemed like he had a plan in his head, but Jin Chai-won looked at Seo Joo-Heon lightly as he tried to use his relic, and sure enough the relic that was in the hands of Seo Joo-Heon was thrown free and fell away from Seo Joo-Heon. Because the relic was scared now, he didn't want to be destroyed by the commander. Seo Joo-Heon was annoyed with the relic that refused his order. Jin Chai-won smiled triumphantly when he knew that Seo Joo-Heon's relic had obeyed his order, because relics have their own hierarchical system and that makes them not want to defy orders from their superiors even if the user tries to command them. Seo Joo-Heon didn't want to believe that, but when he took out Van Gogh he couldn't tell him to take out the relic. Seo Joo-Heon also tried to threaten the relic, but it was only laughed at by Jin Chai-won, who saw it. And with this, Jin Chai-won felt that he would win this fight. Jin Chai-won again attacked Seo Joo-Heon, who could only surrender because he did not have a relic that he could use. And Jin Chai-won would force Seo Joo-Heon to tell him how Seo Joo-Heon got that strange power. Seo Joo-Heon fell to his knees. He knew that he would not be able to win when dealing directly with Jin Chai-won. And the voice of the crow was heard while Seo Joo-Heon was in such a miserable state. Seo Joo-Heon was shocked to hear the voice, and while she was holding her consciousness not to lose it, the crow kept talking to her and asked Seo Joo-Heon to be more careful. Seo Joo-Heon replied to the crow that she couldn't avoid this even if she was careful. And while Seo Joo-Heon was talking to the crow, Seo Joo-Heon now sounded like she was talking to herself. And slowly Seo Joo-Heon got up from her slump. Seeing Seo Joo-Heon who got up, Jin Chai-won was surprised that Seo Joo-Heon could withstand the poison he released. The crow said that his power could not protect Seo Joo-Heon for too long because his strength had not recovered, and with the remaining time Seo Joo-Heon had, he ran forward and prepared to attack Jin Chai-won with his fists. But every attack from Seo Joo-Heon was dodged by Jin Chai-won. But with one hard punch he managed to hit Jin Chai-won hard in the face and made him fall. The relic inside Jin Chai-won realized that what Seo Joo-Heon had was the power of the crow, but he was not sure because the crow had been sealed. Seeing that, the relic inside Jin Chai-won got angry and released more of its power, and slowly Jin Chai-won's consciousness was taken by the commander relic that came out of her body. Seo Joo-Heon also realized that now the commander relic in the form of a spider would use its original power, and the crow couldn't understand why Seo Joo-Heon provoked him in the first place. The relic started to attack Seo Joo-Heon, who tried to run away while avoiding the continuous attacks launched by the spider commander relic. But when he tried to run, the floor he stepped on turned soft and it made Seo Joo-Heon fall down. The commander tried to kill Seo Joo-Heon, and later he would kill the crow like the relics did to stop the crow. The spider commander relic attacked Seo Joo-Heon with one of his legs. Seo Joo-Heon, who saw the attack, could only surrender, as well as the crow, who could not help him because his strength was limited now. But before he could attack Seo Joo-Heon, something stopped the attack and attacked Ch.112, making the relic commander of the spider furious. Seo Joo-Heon was surprised when he saw that it was his rope relic that had helped him to block the attack that was about to fly at him. Seo Joo-Heon did not expect that he would see the rope relic attacking the commander, and while the rope relic continued to distract him from Seo Joo-Heon, Seo Joo-Heon, who saw this opportunity, would use it to think about the next step he would take. Some notification windows popped up saying that Seo Joo-Heon's rope relic got an achievement for doing something extraordinary by challenging the commander, while the sword relic, who saw the rope relic going against the commander's orders, could only surrender because they would all be destroyed by the commander. What will happen next, and how will Seo Joo-Heon survive from there?